of some great French rabbis. I want to speak today about a great rabbi. His name was Rabbi Charles Shalom Touati. Very great rabbi. He happened to be from France. What's actually extra special about him? He was an investigator. He, let's just say, he looked into rabbis' history and everything. And one thing we try in this series to do is find out the different great rabbinic or academic personalities that really looked into Sephardic history, just like that we are doing on this channel over here. Many of these famous rabbis or personalities also do that. And yesteryear, it was, let's say, a great hobby of theirs, respectively. Now, he was born on the 1st of February in the year 1925. He passed away, I think, on Shabbat Zachor on the 15th of March in the year 2003, just over 22 years ago, here from the time of recording. He, I think he was born actually in Algeria, and he passed away in Paris, in France, respectively. He was a rabbi. He was, let's say, a וחוקר. He was someone that investigated history, Jewish history. He was a philosopher also, French, Jewish, a title, let's just say, in of itself. Now, it's interesting. As I said, he was born on the 1st of February in Tlemcen, a place we've spoken about on various occasions before. I think he came from interesting family, a rabbinic dynasty, I think it was. He came from a scion of rabbinical dynasty in Algeria. It's reported over that his father was Rabbi Chaim Touati, and he happened to be the rabbi of Tlemcen. Hopefully we'll speak about him at a later stage. His paternal grandfather was another famous rabbi, Rabbi Chaim Bleich, who happened to be the head of Jewish court of Tlemcen in Algeria, was one of the, let's say, the most famous rabbis and judges in Algeria in modern times. He was a famous linguist. He was a Hebrew poet also, and he was very well known, I think, in of his son was Meshorer, and a poet in of itself, and someone that was quite well known, I think, in his day in Algeria. He passed away, Rabbi Bleich, I believe, in the year 1919. He did, and I think he was very active within regards to the various different Zionist congregations, let's just say, and was part of the original Zionist conference, let's just say. His paternal grandfather, I think his maternal grandfather, was Rabbi Chaim Katsi. He was a rabbi of the city of Tlemcen in Algeria, head of Jewish court, I believe, a rabbi in Oran. He was a head of Ohel Yaakov Yeshiva, and he would author various different Torah colossal works, especially encompassing the Talmud Bavli, the different parts. Now, I think due to the Second World War that broke out, he would begin his studies in philosophy at the University of Algiers. This was. So he was an academic, also, let's just say. He happened to have been. So that's something interesting enough. So remember, it was a turbulent time all over the world at that stage in time. The Second World War, many of these rabbis we've spoken about lived in the First World War. He was born just after the First World War. So that will be in 1943. I think come on 1945, he would actually move at that stage in time to France and would study at the Rabbinical Seminary in Paris, while also at the same time he would continue his studies within regards to philosophy. I think he would study in the University of Paris, also known as the University of Sorbonne, if I'm not mistaken. He would deepen his knowledge of Talmud, let's just say, and he would study in a college, I think, the Center for Advanced Jewish Studies, I think this was, in Philadelphia. This was, let's just say, Merkaz Machkri Yadit Mitkadamit. This was a center for, it's a place we've spoken about on various occasions before, and the CAT Center for Advanced Judaic Studies. He would start learning over there. That happened to be a college, I think, in America. I think it was centered. I think it was actually started. Yes, that's interesting. So actually, to be honest, I'm not so sure if he was in that specific college or not, because just according to notes, this might have been opened in the year 1993. So maybe it was. There was a place prior to that, but I have to double check all my facts within regards to that. So, but he did study in a place, and I think he would study with another person, another Rabbi Shlomo Zeitlin, I think, who happened to be a special. He dealt with. He was a Jewish historian dealing mainly with the second Bet HaMikdash time period and early Christianity. This Shlomo Zeitlin was who would study with, I think, in the year 1949. So I'm not too sure the exact place he would study. Seemingly, maybe he studied in an academy in Philadelphia. Well, he would then go on to return to France and would serve several months as a rabbi of the Oel Avram synagogue. This was, I think, interesting enough, I believe this is the largest Ashkenazi synagogue in France. So he would have been, I would assume, a Sephardi being from Algeria, but I have to double check on that, and received the title of the Grand Rabbi, let's just say, offered the position of Chief Rabbi of France to become the Chief rabbi of France. I don't know if this was on to be elected or to go to election process for this, to potentially replace Rabbi Yaakov Kaplan, who would serve as chief rabbi between the years 1955 to 1980. But because I think he was not feeling 100% from a health standpoint of view, he would not take on that offer. He had a doctorate, let's say, in theology and in history and of history of philosophy. He was a director of research of the School of Applied Higher Education in the Department of Religious Studies, where I think he would held a chair of Talmudic and Rabbinic Judaism. This was, I think, between the years 1972 to 1994. He would succeed someone called Georges Vaidia. I think he happened to be a famous philosopher, a Jewish Hungarian philosopher, also French connections, if I'm not mistaken, especially in the fields of Arab and Jewish philosophy of the 20th century. As a rabbi, he would participate, let's just say, in the rabbinate in France, especially, let's say, in the second half of the 20th century, naturally. He was a teacher of the Paris Rabbinical Seminary over there, and he would write various different writings. He would make contributions, let's say, to the study of philosophy in the medieval Rabbinic Judaism. That was saying he is considered like very well-known expert on the famous Rabbi Levi ben Gershom, who was a famous French scholar during the period of the Rishonim, and would investigate on his writings. He himself happened to be an astronomer, mathematician, a scientist, an engineer, inventor, astrologer, and the list goes on. One of the famous Jewish philosophers. So he would look into all his writings. His writings, let's say, deal with regards to Gemara and various other things, code of Jewish law, collection of Jewish texts, let's just say. He would edit, I believe, something called the Riyova des Etudes Juives. I think connected to Gerard Nahon, who was a famous Jewish French historian. I think this was around the time period of 1981 to 1996, if I'm not mistaken. He also, I think he had a brother that was a famous person also in his own right, someone named Emile Touati, who was a French Jew, a world expert, let's just say, in the field of marketing and advertising. He was a publicist and the president of the Jewish Consistory of Paris, respectively. Now, he would receive various different awards. I think in 1983, he would receive a Legion of Honor from the French president at the time, François Mitterrand, for 35 years of action at that point in time in the field of religious scope, let's just say. So he was getting accolades and, let's say, national accolades in France, respectively, over there. I think come what the year 2001, he would receive another, let's say, a milestone within regards to his awards that he got. I think his students and colleagues presented him with a specific award at that stage in time called the Torah Umada. This was the Torah and Sciences, let's just say. And historical and theoretical perspectives, studies in honor. Let's say there was a Jubilee book, I think, containing articles dealing with his areas of interest, the relationship between Torah and wisdom. He looked into and investigated, I think, from the Hellenistic period to present day. The book was edited by various different chief rabbis and different other personalities, I believe, also over there. I think it was made in a specific order from various different Talmudim. I think there was a man of the name Harab Rena Gutman, who was one of the rabbis of France, respectively. I think chief rabbi of Strasbourg, if I'm not mistaken. Between the years 1987 to 2017, he would help with in regards to it. There was Rav Zilber Dahan, Rav Rami Berg, Rav Siomor Feldman, Rav Paul Panton, who was a famous historian. Actually, I'm not too sure if he was a rabbi. Actually, he was a professor, that's for sure. And I think he very much had a part of the University of Paris he was involved with. Gad Frondetal, Rolin Getchel, Alessandro Gata, Mairi Hadas Lebel. I think she happened to be a professor, so it wasn't all rabbis, it wasn't all men that would actually contribute to this. Oren Zev Harui, I think another professor. Menachem Klana, Daniel Yehuda Lasker, who happens once to be a professor also. I think he actually was in Ben Gurion University, if I'm not mistaken, Negev also. And there was other rabbis also, including Rabbi Dov Schwartz, who was a professor. I think actually he once again, I don't know if he was a rabbi, actually I'll take that back, but he was a professor, I think, in Israel, if I'm not mistaken, maybe in Bar Ilan University, and Colette Sirat. So these were people, not just they were professors or personalities or rabbis that would actually help with in regards to maybe the publication of the book, respectively. Now let's see some of his writings. And now it's actually interesting. I think these writings are actually set up in French, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be a bit more difficult to, there was one book, I think, talking about the Talmei HaMitzvot, respectively, which I think was printed in the year 1962. There was Levi Ben Gershom, this was what we were talking about before, the great rabbi, I think in 1968, Targum Sefer Milchamot Hashem, זה לפנסה פילוסופיה theologique ניסאית. I think printed in 1972, this work. We maybe have another printing in 1992. There's a book, I think, on the prophets, maybe the Tanakh, Talmud, once again printed, I think now this time in the year 1990. A Lukuzari book, I think. Targum Makor HaArivri. I think maybe connected to the Kuzari of Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, the famous rabbis. Rabbi Yehuda Ben Shmuel Halevi was a famous philosopher, I believe, of his time. And I think, yeah, that was printed maybe 1994, 2006. That would have been after he just after he passed away in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. I think a bibliographical book of and was printed from between the years 1951 to 2001. That could have been the book that was printed in order to in which other people had contributed to, the professors and so on and so forth, what we mentioned before. So that is very interesting. And he was a famous rabbi of his time, you know. He was a philosopher. He was someone that would really, let's just say, check and investigate into different Torah workings of his day, respectively. So I think it's reported over that maybe his Hilula was on the 11th of Adar. So we didn't actually speak about him before. There's actually on the Hayumi website, they would give over different, let's just say, history within regards to him, about how he studied. I think we could maybe find out now the name of the place he studied in 1949. He would go to Philadelphia, as we said before, to study Talmud and history over there. I think Shlomo Sitlan was actually a professor who would actually study from. I'm not too sure the name of the actual place. That was a Shumil Limudim Gavoim, I think, known as EPHE. So he was very much broadened his horizons. He won various different awards. He was connected to many professors, specifically, and philosophers. I think he wrote a book, I think, writing Christianity in Jewish theology, which was published at one stage in time. And I think in 2018, later on, a scientific edition of one of his books was actually edited and published. I don't know if it was how connected it was to him or not, but very interesting. Let's explore a few of the highlights from his book that's actually featured on the Hayami website over here. This was actually featured, I think, in 1990 book, in page number 16, and I think it was actually, I'm not sure the name of the book, one of those books that was translated into French, if I'm not mistaken. Another book, I think from the Nevi'im book, this was printed once again in 1990. Let's get one last teaching over here. מלמד שהתרחחו הדרישות שלא לנעול דלת בפני הלוויים. This was printed in 1990 once again from page number 15 over here again. So we're exploring like the history of a famous rabbi that happens to have been from France, Rabbi Charles Touati, a famous, let's just say, French investigator, a historian of his time. And we're trying to now, on this series, look at all the countries. And many people might not be so fluent or well aware of, especially the countries like France, which rabbis actually happen to have been there at stage in time. From a couple of weeks ago, we've been looking into Macedonia. We've been looking into Italy more. In the Netherlands, that's another country we're trying to really concentrate on at the moment, and hopefully we will go strength to strength and investigate more famous rabbis. Now, friends, we're a community here. We're learning about famous rabbis of yesteryear over here that happen to be a French rabbi. If you descend or you're related to any of these famous rabbis, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information on them if you've got anything to share. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, friends, to this channel, please subscribe now to the channel. We are at the moment, we are on a staggering close to 7,000 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. We never would have thought, I think, in our wildest dreams, we'll get to this stage at the beginning of the series, which started just over 3 years ago. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these presentation videos, please share these videos to other people also, and let's help let's go from strength to strength. Please subscribe to the channel and join this community now. We're not just recording videos of the great rabbis of yesteryear. We're recording Daf Yomi videos over here. We're doing tours all over Israel, and we're recording with different great personalities, Jewish personalities, famous people, let's just say, and so on and so forth. So wishing you all well, blessings from Israel, and have a great day. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and watch the space for a lot more content. And please go to the playlist. We've recorded more than 1,100 short biography videos of great rabbis of yesteryear, so you can watch and be part of it. And please like and share everything. So have a great day. Thanks for watching, and be well. Thank you.